that's a squishy chair.
Great chair.
Oh, they are ready to hear from you.
Oh,
and you
my.
too, Brian. We love you too. We love you
That
too.
was
That's
awesome,
great.
Brian.
I'm just saying.
Hi, everybody.
Listen,
Can we take a moment to talk about your outfit?
Talk about mine.
Yeah.
Let's.
This is a stellar outfit. Look at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that is.
Top notch.
Y'all, Tracee Ellis Ross just complimented my outfit. Oh, I'm gonna be giddy for the rest of this interview. So I cannot wait to talk about this incredible show that you have on Roku. Solo Traveling with Tracee Ellis Ross became the most watched unscripted Roku original within the first 2 weeks of its premiere back in July. And it has sparked some really interesting and insightful conversations around solo traveling, more specifically solo traveling among women, right? So I really want to start from the beginning. I mean, both of you tell me like how this show came to be.
I'm going to start from the fact that this is the true story. I came home from one of my trips in the summer, and the guy that was helping me at the airport was like, "Oh my God. We wait every year for your first dip. That's how we know summer starts." He said, "And then I wait for you to go to Paris so we can see your fashion." I was like, "Are you joking?" He said, "No, it's an event." And I said, "Stop. No way." And he was like, "Yeah." And I got in the car and I called my manager, the other Brian in my life. And I was like, "Is there any way that we could attempt to create a show that was just sort of an extension of what I already do, but create sort of a solo travel show that was an extension of what I do?" And that's when Roku got involved. And I will say that the fun part and the exciting part about working with Roku, a lot of people don't know this, but in the industry, even if you get a yes, the deal and the process to actually get to making something, and if you actually get to making something, is very rare. It can draw itself out for months or even years sometimes, and nothing ever happens. That is not how Roku works, and it's not how Brian works. This is Brian Tannenbaum. This man right here is on it. And there's a sense of, I like it, I want it, here's the deal. How can we give you a bespoke experience to create and do what you do while we do what we do? And thank you.
That was,
Wow. Okay. See?
those were incredibly nice words, but particularly
perfectly. So
in
you
front
gotta,
of my parents,
of-
it's
Oh,
like
no
an
way.
even,
Yay, parents!
it's even nicer thing to hear.
But by the way, all true. And then the other piece of it is that Roku offers a technology and an ability to do something that was of great interest to me because I'm also a CEO and founder of Pattern Beauty. Is there a way, because I think all of us, this is the way we use our phones now, is that we buy things as we see them and when we want them, but I don't think TV and streaming has figured out how to combine those two experiences. And Roku has done a seamless job with the technology and gave me the ability to bring Pattern into the show so that from your remote you could actually shop products. And so it was the best of every world.
Right.
So from my side, candidly, it started with a text message from Tracee's agent, Natasha Baluki at United Talent Agency. It said a few words. It said, "Tracee Ellis Ross Solo Travel Show." My immediate response was, "Send the Zoom link." And the reason why and what I love the most about the show is that every network or platform would kill for it, and she doesn't need to do it. And when you work with talent that's interested in something from like a passionate standpoint, it is just leaps and bounds different from other types of projects. And so I proudly share that the pitch process was the reverse. It was on Roku, not just the original side. Marketing was on, PR was on, ad sales was on, and we pitched our platform to Tracee and her representatives.
An unheard of experience. Wow. Truly.
And so, look, Roku has the operating system, America's #1 TV streaming platform, 90 million streaming households. So that's about 125 million people daily that see our home screen. And that home screen is the most valued real estate in connected TV. So on the original side, when we look to partner with talent, it needs to be home screen worthy. I am so proud to be sitting next to the entrepreneur legend that is Tracee.
I love that.
I will say though, an unprecedented, bespoke, and exceptional experience in partnering with Roku. It doesn't happen that way, and it has forever changed what my expectation is of how to partner and create content.
Right.
Because there is an expertise and key learnings that they have, not only about their audience, but how it works, that they brought to the table for me, and then allowed me to do what I do and give me the space to do that. And then they figured out, and I will tell you, I was in a meeting with Brian. I've been in multiple, but Zoom meetings with Brian and his team is extraordinary. It's a little bit like being in Vegas. He's like, can we get more of that? If we get more of that, do we get less of that? What happens if we take that away from sports and we put that over here? Okay, hold on 1 second before anyone answers that question. If we do 5 more of these for Tracee and solo travel, what happens over here? Okay, great. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's switch that around. That's gonna get her the best. There we go. I swear to God, it was like being in Vegas. I was like, what just happened, and was that good? And it was. It was great.
I love that. I mean, one thing that I find so interesting about this show is just sort of like the tone, the vibe. Like, it almost feels like a travel vlog that you would see on social media, but with like a better budget, maybe, because it's very loose. It's very just you, Tracee, going and experiencing the food and culture and just talking about it. So was that, I'm curious of like how, you went from that very sparse text being like, this is what Tracee wants to do, to what we have now. Like, what was that development process like?
Well, the first thing my manager said to me is write down what it is you want it to be. And so there's an experience that I have. There's all different kinds of solo travel. People solo travel to meet people. People solo travel to get away from their lives. People solo travel for adventure. I solo travel to be with myself.
And to look great.
Well, yeah. Well, yes.
Listen, if you see the show, how many bags do you normally pack?
Listen.
She's transformed packing for everybody.
I'm so sorry to everybody who tries to underpack now. I have a philosophy of packing, which is BIA, bring it all.
Bring it all.
So the thing for me was I didn't want to create a prescriptive travel show. I didn't want to create a show that was about the adventure that you were going on and doing things you would never do in your life. What I wanted to experience share was what the experience is for me, which is, can you be yourself by yourself out in the world? And if you're not waiting for a certain thing or a certain person to go out and live your life, what would that look like? If you're not allowing culture and society and the norms to tell you who you should be, what would you be doing? And for me, travel is one of the experiences and the ways that I do that and I live my life. And the reason that clothing is a part of it for me is that mostly in my life, yes, as a CEO, I get to get dressed, but mostly, as we were just saying backstage, I did 8 years on Girlfriends, 8 years on Blackish. I had a show with Malcolm Jamal Warner in between, rest his soul, and I am usually, yes, wearing amazing clothes, but they're not mine. They're me playing a character and a role. And so I love clothing, and I buy clothing, and I will never stop loving clothing and buying clothing. In college, it was, I went to the Salvation Army, and now I get to buy the beautiful things that I can afford. But for me, travel is an opportunity for me to adorn myself and create a sense of joy and beauty for myself out in the world. And yes, the stakes become higher at times. The things that feel good might feel more good, and the things that feel bad might feel more bad, which is one of the things that I wanted to share was really the intimacy of what that experience is. So a lot of it was shot on my phone.
Yeah.
And we ended up working that in those intimate moments. And then can I say one more thing? I know I talk so much, I'm so sorry.
I brought you to my stage for a reason.
I know, but okay.
Tracee, listen,
Okay.
listen. I'm not
Okay.
just a moderator. I programmed this event.
Okay.
I brought you here for a reason. So I'm just saying, I brought you to talk.
Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, so I wanted to, there's an interesting thing because obviously solo travel, you're by yourself, right? But so if you're gonna film it, how do you do that? And that was something that I think we figured out now, but we walked into the show not quite sure what the hard parts were gonna be. At first, one of the hardest things for me is I feel very conscious of interrupting other people's experience with cameras. They quickly, the producers were helped me, even though I am a producer on the show, helped me understand that everyone that was in a restaurant that we were shooting in had signed a release. Okay. So they knew. I was like, okay, so I can let go of going like this. So I stopped doing that, And then the other piece of it was, how do I share the inner experience through cameras? And so we did two things. One was me talking and using my phone in those intimate moments and speaking out loud what normally would be an internal dialogue or in a journal. And then the other was through voiceover. And I thought that was one of the best tools we figured out, because what it allowed was the quiet and the solitude with not being interrupted all the time with like those moments, but I could speak it in post in terms of what the experience was.
Right.
And I thought that tool helped us really well.
Absolutely. And Brian, you know, as head of originals, I mean, what is going through your mind when you realize you have a hit on your hands? Because
You know, it's a great question.
Right.
We had a meeting internally because I was like, what do we do now? So
Right.
it was, you know, it was a unique experience.
within the first 2 weeks, right?
What do? You support it. And you greenlight it as quickly as you can.
And we got a season 2 within
And so,
moments.
quite
Right.
proud of that for sure. I go back, and it's interesting to look at the show through the lens of, here is an entrepreneur actor who's never been in the non-scripted space before, that is unilaterally taking on a format that 100% is on her back. And what is interesting is that, like, at Roku, we consider ourselves subject matter experts. So we do what we are great at. We are great on platform. We ask with complete transparency for help off platform, whether that relates to social media, whether that relates to press. When we put something on our home screen, it scores, right? It can drive as much reach as possible. Millions upon millions of people see it when we put it on our home screen. But we can't keep them there. There's only one person that can keep them there, and that's Tracee. And I think that the honesty with which you approach the show, how vulnerable you were in your first at-bat in the space, to me is like remarkable, and why it scored so much.
Right.
Sorry.
No, please go on.
And then the reaction, particularly on TikTok, was one of the things I'm like so proud to be 1% of. I acknowledge I sit in a rented chair, right? As a network executive, it is a rented chair. And so while I'm in the chair, I have decisions that I can make. I have the autonomy to do that. But to say yes and be a part of something which just brought so much joy and hope to a community of young people felt like particularly fantastic and joyous. I had never solo traveled in my life.
Are you serious?
I've never done it.
Brian, what are you doing?
I
Come
know.
on now.
I subscribe to, I'll tell you, I subscribe to BIA, Bring It All. I have 0 black tie events. I'm in New York for 2 weeks. I brought my tuxedo. If anyone has a black tie event, I am
you didn't wear it
available.
here?
I did not. Look, it's New York Fashion Week. She's got fancy friends. I am ready to go should the invite come. Okay, Calvin Klein is ready to go. But I did go out on a Tuesday night at 6 p.m. by myself to Amsterdam. I had some liquid courage to help me get through it, but what a remarkable experience. And I said that to you on the day of the launch. Like, you watch this, the best shows in the non-scripted space are the ones you can see yourself in. What would it be like if I was singing on American Idol? What would it be like if I was surviving on an island like Survivor? And it's like, what would I be like if I was traveling solo? And I think that lens through is why this thing hit.
So to that point, how has the success of this show affirmed what you're already doing with greenlighting shows, or made you think about it differently? Because it is a very unique show from a very unique perspective. So how has that changed or evolved your way of thinking of your shows? Yeah.
It is a unique show in its casing.
Yes.
But I think what works on the show is not unique to the industry.
Yeah.
It's somebody telling the truth, right? It's somebody where you're invested in somebody telling the truth. I think that, and they're silly. But I mean, I think that's in television, when you think about it, like, movies are different. I mean, now it's not, you don't always go to a theater, but you think about the intimacy of television. I always used to say this, like on Blackish, people eat dinner with us, they go to bed with us, you sit with your family with us. So there's a difference in how, and now with your phone, there's an intimacy to it. And I think that telling of the truth, I think, is what works. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm talking crap.
No, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, look, on our side, there's a ton to learn. One is she set the bar in how to collaborate with talent, right? The way she has leaned in to make this a success is what is needed go forward in order to make these things work. we don't need volume in we don't need volume in originals. We need impact. And I think, Roku Channel, which is our owned and operated service on the Roku platform, is the #1 fast channel per Nielsen ratings, right? So the content is 100% free. If it's free, it's ad-backed. So I think what was interesting that we've learned as we look at a lot of people talk about like the creator economy and bringing social media into the television landscape, because we're free, because we're streaming, I think that there were elements that people recognized from YouTube. That the self-shot nature, the direct-to-camera, the speaking directly to the audience, that I think really resonated and really scored with the streamers that are watching free content on our platform. And it wasn't that it wasn't polished or premium, it's that it was raw. It wasn't just the subject matter that was raw, it was the individual capturing it in these intimate moments. Yeah. And I think that one-to-one connection with the streamer is something that we will take go forward as we look at our other projects.
In terms of the relationship, one of the things that I will also say is I am hands-on in everything that I do. With Pattern, with anything that I do, it is not like I have an idea and then I let people go do it. I'm just not that person. I will be up until 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure something out in post, in editing, trying to figure out a story, whether it's with Pattern or here. And the other thing is that for me, my guiding principle is not what anyone else is doing. I've talked about this before, but I was a track runner growing up, and I remember Coach Block saying to me, if you keep looking at other people in the race, you're gonna lose. And she was like, you can run in any lane you want on that track, but look at your race. And that is the way I've lived my life and run my career. I don't look, and yes, data is a part of things, it guides you, but it's an art, it's not a science. And the thing is that data and what other people are doing is a snapshot of now. Yeah. It's not a snapshot of the future, it's a snapshot of now and yesterday. And my internal compass, my compass of truth, and what makes my heart sing is a guide for what is ahead. And so that is what I did with the show and trusting my gut. I'm also not afraid to say, that doesn't work, guys. Yeah. We gotta change it. Or nope, that's not what we intended. I mean, I remember for Pattern, we delayed our launch because I was like, the leave-in conditioner is not correct yet. And you do have that, sometimes you don't have that power, sometimes you don't have that choice, but if you can, I would prefer to say it. My mom always said, the worst you can get is a no. Yep. Ask the question. And if there's something in my soul that's saying, this isn't right, speak up. Yeah.
I love that. And, I know, Brian, I'm glad you confirmed that this is Tracee's first foray into unscripted TV.
I don't think I realized that till you said
I was going to say, because I was scrolling your IMDb deep, because I was like, did she do something like this before? And you
No,
really
I did
haven't.
The Dish. That was where I started my career, which was like a magazine show. Because I'm a TV girl. I live in your TV, and I'm a TV girl.
Got to cut that. I don't know if we have the rights.
Well, I sang it for the show. That was our main title
we do have the rights. Okay, take it away. Let's do it again.
It's got way more expensive for them.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Anyway.
So, I mean, how was it for you? Because Tracee, you're not shy at all. We know that, but I think
I was growing up.
See, so for you, because this show, it really does show a very vulnerable side of you, right? And I think that you talk about the loneliness, you talk about being a woman that's single and childless and what you really go there with a lot of things. So for you, I mean, did you have any hesitation?
The only hesitation I had was I did not want it to feel self-indulgent, which can all happen in editing. It can all be genuine and fine, and then the way it's edited can turn it into something else. So I didn't want it to feel self-indulgent. I had no interest in that. I didn't want it to feel prescriptive. And I didn't want it, when I say that, I think it's self-explanatory, but just to say, I didn't want people to think I'm saying this is how you should live your life. I also wanted to be clear that what I was naming as luxury was not all the expensive things that I was doing. I understand that the way I fly is insane and very expensive.
It is.
I'm no dummy, okay? It's ridiculous. I understand this, okay? I understand that people, I get it. I'm not blind to the privilege and the abundance that I live in, right? And yes, some of it I was born into, but the majority of it, just FYI, I have made myself.
Say it.
But what I feel very clear about is that everybody deserves luxury. I don't work harder than anybody else. I don't work the hardest of everybody in the world. We all work hard and we all deserve luxury. And luxury is the ability to be, to let yourself be. And that can look like many different things. And that's the reason I didn't want the show to be prescriptive, because I didn't want people to think I was saying this is how you get luxury, because it's not. Luxury sometimes can be being able to take a nap for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or on the couch. You know what I mean? Luxury can be having an experience in your backyard or on your balcony or in your, with your family. Luxury can be giggling with your niece. You know what I mean? So, because our lives are so full. I mean, it's like you've got a computer in your hand. We're running around, like it's so hard to get it all done. And most people are not thriving, they're surviving, And so, but even that, eating a bit, like giving yourself a treat of that one thing that you love at the end of a hard day, if it's a bite of chocolate or whatever that is, that to me is the experience of luxury. And that is the expression I wanted to, and of course it's television. We want to give them, you want to give them,
a show.
You want to you know what I mean? You want a belt. You know what I mean? Like you want a shoe. You know what I mean? Like you want to give them a little razzle dazzle. You know what I mean? You can't just say this is me in my backyard.
No, but this is literally her in the show. If you haven't seen it,
you know what I mean? Like you want a little razzle dazzle. Anyway, by the way, one of the early things, because Olivia, our executive on the show, was like, "But what is she going to do that's going to be entertaining?" I was like, "Just turn the cameras on."
You don't got to worry about that.
Please.
You taking out your braids and eating fries was the most entertaining thing I've seen in a while.
Oh, yes. But I first of all, I will say, I'm not a private person, but I have a real sense of what is sacred to me. And I protect that with all my life. But I was born into a public family. My mom is extremely private, and I know how to navigate my privateness. What I am not afraid to do is be transparent about the reality of my humanity, because it is where we all connect. We all get lonely. It's not evidence that my life is broken. People in marriages get lonely. So it is evidence that I am a human being who lives and has feelings. And so I wasn't afraid to share that, even though I know for some people it was evidence, that's what happens when you're not in a relationship. It's probably because you're broken. Shut up. Like, I wanted to bring some of that forward because there must be some examples that are between Joan of Arc and cat ladies. Like, you can live a stunning, gorgeous, delicious, full, robust, and wonderful life and still be lonely. And still have sadness and still have shame and heartbreak and all of those things. And the truth is, when you solo travel, the volume gets turned up on some of that. And you can hold space for yourself in that way. And so what I like to say, for me, the experience of solo traveling that I do is really similar to when the baseball player goes up to bat with 2 bats first. And they swing, and then it feels easy when they go easier when they go with their 1 bat. So solo traveling for me is a way that I go out into the world on my own, and then when I come back, some of the things in life don't feel quite as scary. And I can do them by myself, and it's okay. You can go to a party, you can go to a dinner, you can go by yourself, and you can enjoy your own company.
Right. Not too dry.
I did say razzle dazzle in front of all you guys.
You
right?
did quite a few
and
times.
And I shimmied, right?
You did, and
okay,
you did.
I'm gonna regret that later.
No. We're recording. And Brian, I mean, because Tracee, you spoke to this a little bit, but Brian, I'd love for you to touch on it. I mean, it sounds like Tracee mentioned this being vulnerable, being truthful. Like that's really what resonates. So, I mean, would you agree, Brian? Because I'm so curious to kind of hear from your perspective on what breaks through, because so many networks and streamers, they want to have a show like this, and some do, but imagine all the ones that don't.
Yep.
So I think it's always that question of like what resonates with audiences, what breaks through. So what would you say is the reason that this show broke through?
I think you hit on this, but I think the format's familiar enough, right? So you've seen things in the travel space before, whether it be Bourdain or Searching for Italy or Eva Longoria's amazing show. To me, it was the solo travel component that you heard of, but if you haven't done it, there's so much more to explore. And there was so much authenticity behind it and so much vulnerability behind it. And then just to be radically transparent, she's a massive audience, and the audience showed up, full stop. And so we can connect people leveraging the power of our home screen, but she is the reason, single-handedly, why this thing took off. I will say there is a ton of departments internally at Roku that are behind the scenes supporting this, right? Like you've got, it's not just marketing or PR or social, it's production, it's post, it's brand, it's engineering, it's tech. Like I can share a funny story internally, yeah. So when you're at a tech company, they do all these A/B tests, okay? Everything is A/B tests. I feel like I'm getting A/B tested. And so one day I get a Slack message from someone on the research team, and they say, hey, are you guys like promoting Tracee's show? I haven't told you this yet. And I was like, yeah, it's like a big promotional day on the home screen. And she said, we're trying to run this new test on some new destinations, and everyone keeps on getting distracted by the key art. And so,
Wow.
what a great day, right? I was just like, it just like the materials they put together behind the show, just at first pass, they were phenomenal. Like they were so striking visually, and I think represented your vision so well. And I think that's the other reason where it's like, our platform is strong and mighty. The power is universal, but it is only as good as the stories on it and from the people who tell them. And that like catalyst, when those combined, like that's when you get the magic.
I will be honest with you, this is not the way most people in his position think.
No.
And it creates a very distinct opportunity.
Yeah.
And none of us do it alone. Like, it's also a team.
For sure.
On every side.
The other thing they teach us is like we self-service our data, right? So we, as executives, we have accountability, so we need to be able to look. If you ask my wife, from 10 to 11 a.m. on Saturdays is a very dark period in our household because that's usually when the data's not loading yet and I need it to load. I will say Saturday, the day after her premiere, was one of the best Saturdays of my life.
I can imagine.
So as you were talking, I was thinking of all the different pieces. I was thinking of all of the fonts that I went through before I decided that the solo travel font was the right one. I was thinking of all those little details to me that are like the key art and which one it is, and looking at it in this way, looking at it in that way, and the full breadth of my own team. That also my producing partners, who's my manager, and Adriana, and like our,
Christian, pattern.
Like the whole, you know what I mean? Like my pattern team, and how we created a landing page so that those people that came from the show to Pattern, there was a specific landing page on the patternbeauty.com site that tied the travel into Pattern in an appropriate way, which takes design, which meant our Pattern digital design team had to really work on that and what the pathway is. So there's so many pieces to making it all work. And I think that's also what makes a show work.
It was flawless execution from development through launch.
Yeah.
And that is 100% because of every single person that I work with on my side that make these things happen, and I would imagine you would say same on yours.
Absolutely. And just, to kind of sum things up, I mean, I know in the intro, Tracee, you mentioned that you started solo traveling, or you had your first trip when you were 24 or 25. And I don't think, if you were to make this show in your 20s and your 30s, I don't think it would hit the same. Like
I wouldn't have ever done it.
Right. So what does a show like this mean at this particular moment in your life?
I think it's a huge culmination of me becoming a grown-up. I'm 52 years old, and I have worked very hard to be comfortable in my skin. It did not come easily to me. And to actually know myself, then have the courage to be that person, and then have the courage to live as that person. And I feel like this show is a reflection of that. And also, through all of these years, becoming the, excuse my French, but badass professional that I am.
Say it.
I mean, I have a lot of experience, and I know how to be a producer. I know how to run a company. I know how to put teams together. I know how to say when something doesn't work.
The best representatives I've ever worked with.
My team they're the best people. They're the best people. Rachel Carton is back there, my publicist, been with her forever. These people are the top of their game. I don't like to micromanage, and I don't need to micromanage because I trust their expertise. And ultimately, the decision is always mine. I am the main lead player in my life and in my career. But I take the table of all of us, including your expertise, and go, okay, well, is that a good thing? How do we do this? And I think this show is a reflection of that. Pattern was one of the first things that I made. It's 6 years we're on shelves now. And it's an extraordinary thing. I don't have children, but I made a company. I made a multi-million-dollar company, a beauty company. And this show would probably be the second version of that. It's a reflection of what I care about in the world. And I don't mean me. I mean the idea that we all get to craft our own lives, that we get to live our own lives on our own terms. And life is going to keep on lifing, but you get you. And you get to make it the experience that you want it to be, or at least how you hold yourself. And this show's a reflection of that.
Well, thank you for making this an experience. Tracee, I really appreciate it. Give it up to Tracee and Brian.
Thank
You're
you.
so amazing.
You're so wonderful.